The Galactic Council station hung in space like a massive wheel of metal and glass. It orbited a dead moon called Apex Prime, far from any homeworld. This was neutral ground, where hundreds of alien species came together to talk, trade, and keep peace across the galaxy. The station had been here for over 3,000 years. Humans had only been part of it for 3. Jiwoo pressed her face against the viewing window and smiled. She was 16 years old with dark hair tied back in a simple ponytail. Her school uniform was crisp and new. She had arrived on the station only 2 weeks ago as part of the student exchange program. Her father was Ambassador Hyun-soo, Earth's representative to the Council. He worked long hours trying to help humanity fit in with species that had been traveling between stars since before humans built their first cities. The cultural district stretched out before her. Alien architecture mixed together in strange and beautiful ways. Buildings curved in impossible shapes. Lights flickered in colors human eyes could barely see. Jiwoo loved exploring this place. Every corner held something new. "Come on," called Mira, a Delphian student with blue skin and 4 arms. "The food market closes in an hour." Jiwoo turned away from the window and followed her friends. There were 3 of them exploring together today. Mira, a tall graven boy named Tak who communicated through musical sounds, and Essa, a small floating creature covered in soft fur. They had become friends during orientation week. They were all children of diplomats trying to understand each other's worlds. The market was loud and overwhelming. Vendors shouted in dozens of languages. Strange smells mixed in the air, some good, some terrible. Jiwoo bought a sweet pastry that tasted like honey and starlight. Mira laughed at her expression when she bit into it. They wandered for an hour looking at strange goods and stranger creatures. Jiwoo took pictures with her camera. Her father had given it to her before she left Earth. "Document everything," he had said. "You are seeing things no human teenager has ever seen before." That was when Jiwoo saw the crystal structure. It stood at the end of a quiet corridor, away from the busy market. The hallway was dimly lit, but the crystal glowed with its own light. Beautiful geometric patterns shifted across its surface. Colors moved inside it like living things. Jiwoo had never seen anything like it. "Wow," she whispered. She walked toward it slowly. Her friends had continued ahead, not noticing she had stopped. The corridor was empty. There were symbols on the walls, but Jiwoo could not read them. She assumed they were decorative. The crystal was about 3 meters tall, rotating slowly in the air without any visible support. Jiwoo raised her camera and took a single photograph. The flash lit up the corridor for just a moment. "Halt!" The voice was harsh and angry. Jiwoo spun around. 3 tall aliens in dark armor stood behind her. They were Valkyrians. She recognized the species. They looked almost human, but with gray skin and no hair. Their eyes were completely black. "I am sorry," Jiwoo said quickly, lowering her camera. "I did not know I should not be here. I will leave." "You have desecrated the eternal flame," one guard said. His voice was cold. "This is forbidden to all non-believers." Jiwoo looked around the corridor again. There were no signs in any language she knew. No barriers. No warning she could understand. "I really am sorry. I did not see any signs. I will delete the photo. Please, I meant no harm." The guards did not move. One of them spoke into a communicator. Jiwoo's heart started beating faster. This felt wrong. This felt dangerous. More Valkyrians arrived. One of them wore elaborate robes covered in silver symbols. He was old, with deep lines carved into his gray face. He looked at Jiwoo with pure disgust. "A human child has violated our most sacred space," he said. "I am Counselor Vexthar. You will answer for this crime." "Crime?" Jiwoo's voice shook. "I just took a picture. I will delete it right now, look." She held up her camera, showing him how to erase the image. "See, it is gone. I'm truly sorry. I did not know." Vexthar looked at the camera, then at Jiwoo. "The violation has occurred. Deletion changes nothing. You have seen what you should not have seen. You have captured the sacred with profane technology. This cannot be forgiven." "Please," Jiwoo said. She was starting to cry now. "Please, I am just a student." "I made a mistake." "Ignorance is not innocence," Vexthar replied. "Take her." The guards grabbed Jiwoo's arms. She screamed. Down the corridor, her friends heard her. Mira's forearms flew to her mouth in horror as she watched Jiwoo being dragged away. Within minutes, the entire human delegation knew what had happened. Corporal Daeho, a security officer assigned to protect human personnel, ran through the station at full speed. He had served in Earth's military for 10 years. He had seen combat, but nothing prepared him for the fear he felt now. Ambassador Hyunsu arrived at the Valkyrian sector with 12 other human staff members. Station security stopped them at the entrance. "My daughter," Hyunsu said, fighting to keep his voice steady. "Where is my daughter?" "Counselor Vexthar has invoked Principle 7 of the Council Charter," a security officer explained. "Member species have full jurisdiction over crimes committed against their cultural and religious property. The Council cannot interfere." "She is 16 years old," Hyunsu said. She took a photograph. "That is not a crime worth more than an apology. Under Valkyrian law it is a capital offense," the officer replied. He would not meet Hyunsu's eyes. "I am sorry. The council is convening now to discuss the situation." The next 6 hours were the longest of Hyunsu's life. He stood in the council chamber while aliens argued about laws and precedents. He begged them to show mercy. He offered anything Earth had: technology, trade agreements, money, anything. Counselor Vexithar stood unmoved. "This human child violated our most sacred law. If the council does not respect our sovereignty in this matter, what does the council mean? We demand justice according to our ways." High Chancellor Morgan, the leader of the council, was a massive creature that looked like a combination of an octopus and a tree. He had led the council for 200 years. He listened to all the arguments. Then he made his decision. The council charter is clear. Member species maintain jurisdiction over crimes against their cultural property. The Valkyrian request is within their rights. The council will not intervene. "No," Hyunsu whispered. "Please no." They brought Jiwoo to the judgment chamber. Her hands were bound. Her face was wet with tears. When she saw her father, she tried to smile. "Dad, I am sorry. I did not mean to cause trouble." "This is not your fault," Hyunsu said. His voice broke. "This is not your fault." Vexithar read the judgment in his language. The translation was simple: death for desecration, immediate execution. "She said she was sorry," Hyunsu said to the room, to the hundreds of aliens watching. "She is a child." "She said she was sorry." No one answered. The execution was quick. Jiwoo closed her eyes. She thought of her mother back on Earth. She thought of the stars outside the viewing window. She died thinking of beautiful things. Corporal Daeho arrived 30 seconds too late. He stood in the doorway, seeing Ambassador Hyunsu holding his daughter's body. The ambassador was not crying. He was not screaming. He just held her and stared at nothing. Daeho sent his report to Earth. His hands shook so badly he could barely type. 2 hours later, Earth's response came back. It was encrypted at the highest level. Daeho decoded it and read the message 3 times to make sure he understood. Then he looked at the Counselor Vexthar standing proudly in the chamber. He looked at the High Chancellor. He looked at all the aliens who had let this happen. They had no idea what was coming. The message went out on every human frequency at exactly the same time. 3 words in simple text. "Come home now." Every human in council space received it. Scientists working in alien laboratories. Traders selling goods on distant stations. Diplomats in the middle of important meetings. Tourists seeing the galaxy for the first time. Students like Jiwoo had been. All of them got the same message, and all of them obeyed. Within 24 hours, human ships started leaving council space. Within 48 hours, every single human was gone. Not one remained. The speed shocked the other species. Humans had always seemed so individualistic, so hard to organize. But when Earth called them home, they moved like a single organism. Counselor Vexthar watched them go from his office on the station. He felt satisfied. "They know their place now," he told his aides. "They understand they cannot challenge our ways." He was wrong. On Earth, Admiral Kite stood in the command center deep under the Pacific Ocean. He was 50 years old, with gray in his hair and scars on his hands from the asteroid wars. He had spent 30 years preparing Earth's defenses. He had always known this day might come. Not like this. Never like this. But he had known that humans might need to fight for their place in the galaxy. The screens around him showed fleet positions, ship readiness, weapons status. Everything was green. Everything was ready. "They killed a child," he said quietly. "They killed her for taking a photograph." Captain Bora stood next to him. She was Jiwoo's older cousin. They had grown up together. Bora had taught Jiwoo how to swim. how to ride a bike. She had been the one Jiwoo called when she was scared to leave Earth. "I want a ship," Bora said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes were full of rage. "I want to be there when we make them pay." Kite nodded. "You will be." In another facility, Dr. Eunji worked in a laboratory that officially did not exist. She had spent the last 3 years studying every piece of alien technology Earth had access to. She had taken it apart, understood it, made it better. The Council thought they were so advanced. They thought humans were centuries behind them. They had no idea what Earth had built in secret. "The stealth systems are ready," Eunji reported to the Military Council. "The weapon platforms are online. The cyber warfare packages are deployed. We can strike whenever you give the order." Prime Minister Sang-woo listened to the reports in his office. He was a short man with a calm face, but everyone who knew him understood he was not someone to cross. He had been a general before he was a politician. He had seen war, he hated it, but he understood it. "They think we are emotional," he said to his advisors. "They think we will rage and scream and then accept what happened. They believe we are children playing at being a spacefaring race." He stood and walked to the window. Earth stretched out below, blue and green and beautiful. 16 billion people lived on this planet and in the colonies beyond. All of them were angry. All of them wanted justice. "Send a message to the Council," Sang-woo said. "Tell them we are cutting all contact. Tell them we consider Jiwoo's execution an act of murder. Tell them there will be consequences." The message was sent. The Council barely reacted. High Chancellor Morgan read it and put it aside. "Humans are grieving," he told the Council. "They will calm down in time. We should give them space to process their emotions." Weeks passed. Then months. Earth stayed silent. Human space became a fortress. Every ship that approached was turned away. Council delegations tried to make contact. They were ignored. Trade routes that had included human goods dried up. Businesses that relied on human customers collapsed. Some council members started to worry. The Threxians, who had studied humans carefully, sent a secret report to the High Chancellor. It was marked with the highest security classification. The report said that humans had been developing weapons in secret. Advanced weapons. Weapons that could challenge even the strongest council fleets. The report warned that Earth's silence was not grief. It was preparation. Morgan read the report 3 times. Then he locked it away. He did not share it with the other council members. He told himself the Threxians were being paranoid. Humans were clever, yes. Dangerous when cornered, perhaps. But they were one species against hundreds. They would not dare. On Earth, the preparations continued. Every shipyard worked day and night. New weapons rolled off production lines. Soldiers trained in tactics designed specifically to fight council forces. Dr. Eunji's team installed systems on every ship that would let them appear and disappear like ghosts. Ambassador Hyun-soo had not spoken since his daughter died. He sat in his apartment and stared at the walls. People tried to talk to him, tried to help him. He did not respond. He was somewhere else, somewhere deep inside his own mind where the pain could not quite reach him. 3 months after Jiwoo's death, Admiral Kai-tae came to visit him. He sat down across from the silent man and did not say anything for a long time. Finally, Hyun-soo spoke. His voice was rough from disuse. "Are we really going to do this?" "Yes," Kai-tae said. "Will it bring her back?" "No." "Will it make the pain stop?" "No." Hyun-soo nodded slowly. "Then why?" Kai-tae looked at the picture of Jiwoo on the wall. She was smiling in it, holding her camera. "Because they need to know they cannot do this. Because if we let them kill one of ours without response, they will do it again. Because the galaxy needs to understand that humans protect their own, even if it means war? Especially then." Hyun-soo closed his eyes. When he opened them again, something had changed. The emptiness was still there, but now there was something else too. Something cold and hard. "Make them understand," he whispered. "Make them all understand what they did." Admiral Kai-tae stood. "We will." The fleet prepared to launch. 12 warships, each one a masterpiece of human engineering. They were larger than anything in Earth's official navy. They were faster, stronger, more advanced. They had been built in secret shipyards in the asteroid belt. The Council did not know they existed. Captain Bora walked through her ship, checking every system personally. The vessel was called the Remembrance. She had asked for that name. Every member of her crew had volunteered for this mission. They all knew they might not come back. "Are we ready?" Admiral Kite asked over the communication link. "Ready," Bora replied. "Then it is time." The fleet launched from a hidden base on the dark side of the moon. They jumped to faster than light speed using routes the Council did not know existed. They moved through space like shadows, invisible to every sensor the Council had. 3 months and 2 days after Jiwoo's execution, a single human ship appeared at the edge of Council space. It was small, unarmed. It broadcast a message on every frequency, in every language. "You took one of ours. You killed a child who said she was sorry. You called it justice. We call it murder. You have 3 hours to evacuate all military personnel from the Velkari system. After that, we will show you what human justice looks like. This is not a negotiation. This is a reckoning." The ship disappeared before Council forces could respond. Alarms rang across Council space. Emergency meetings were called. Military fleets scrambled to intercept, but they had no idea where the humans would strike. They did not know that the real fleet was already in position, already waiting, already locked onto their targets. On the bridge of the Remembrance, Captain Bora looked at the image of the Velkarian homeworld on her screen. Velkaris Prime. Beautiful, peaceful. Billions of people lived there. Most of them had nothing to do with Jiwoo's death. "We are not targeting civilians," Admiral Kite reminded the fleet. "Only military installations, only those who can fight back. We are not like them." "Understood," Bora replied. She thought of her cousin, 16 years old, scared, crying, saying sorry over and over, dying for nothing. "Begin the attack," she said. The Festival of Eternal Light happened once every year on Velkaris Prime. It was the most important celebration in Velkarian culture. Billions of people filled the streets. They lit candles. They sang old songs. They prayed to their ancient gods. Counselor Vexthar stood at the center of the capital city leading the ceremonies. He wore his finest robes. He felt proud. His people loved him for defending their sacred laws against the humans. He had become a hero. Statues were being built in his honor. He did not see the human ships until it was too late. They appeared from nowhere. One moment, the sky above Velkaris Prime was empty. The next moment, 12 massive warships hung in orbit. They were dark gray, covered in sharp angles that made them hard to look at. They were bigger than any Council military vessel. Much bigger. The orbital defense platforms reacted immediately. Hundreds of weapon systems locked onto the human fleet. Missiles launched. Energy weapons fired. The defensive grid around Velkaris Prime was one of the strongest in Council space. It could destroy an attacking fleet in minutes. The human ships did not even slow down. Beams of light shot out from the human warships. They were not like normal weapons. They moved faster than anything the Council had ever seen. Each beam hit a defense platform with perfect accuracy. The platforms exploded in silence. Within 30 seconds, the entire orbital defense network was gone. Panic spread through the planet. People stopped celebrating. They looked up at the sky in fear. Counselor Vexithar ran to the military command center. His hands shook as he activated the emergency protocols. "Get me the Council fleet," he screamed. "Get me help now." A voice came through every speaker on the planet. It was calm, cold, human. "This is Admiral Kite of Earth's Combined Fleet. We are here for your military, not your people. Every military installation on this planet will be destroyed in the next hour. All military personnel should evacuate immediately. Civilians will not be harmed. This is the price for murdering Jiwoo. This is the price for calling it justice." The human ships moved with terrifying precision. They targeted the naval shipyards first, massive orbital docks where Velkarian warships were built. The shipyards exploded in beautiful, terrible bursts of light. Each explosion was controlled, directed. None of the debris fell toward the planet below. Then they hit the communication arrays. The military satellites, the weapon stockpiles hidden on the moons, every single military asset in the system was marked and destroyed. The humans knew where everything was. They had been watching, planning, waiting. Captain Bora commanded one of the strike groups. Her ship, the Remembrance, focused on the military academy where Valkyrian officers trained. She could see young cadets running from the buildings. They were barely older than Jiwoo had been. Targeting weapon systems only, she reported. Avoiding personnel areas, her weapons fired. The academy's defensive guns melted into slag. The ammunition depots exploded safely above the atmosphere. The training ships in the academy's hangar were cut in half, but the barracks stood untouched. The classrooms remained. Before she moved to the next target, Bora opened a channel to the academy. She sent them a video file. It was footage from the council station. It showed Jiwoo being dragged away, crying, begging, dying. "Remember her name," Bora transmitted. "Remember what your people did to her. And know that we could have done the same to you, but we chose mercy." The attack lasted exactly 1 hour. When the human fleet left, Valkyris Prime was defenseless. Not a single military ship remained operational. Not a single weapon platform survived. But the cities were untouched. The people were alive. The infrastructure still worked. The message was clear. Humans could have killed everyone. They chose not to. The council convened an emergency session within hours. The mood was pure panic. High Chancellor Morgan looked around at the gathered species representatives. Many of them were shouting. Some were calling for surrender. Others wanted total war. Silence. Morgan's voice boomed through the chamber. "We must respond with unity and strength. I am dispatching the Grand Fleet to Earth. We will force the humans to surrender." The Grand Fleet was the Council's ultimate weapon, 800 warships from 12 different species. It had never been defeated. It had never even been challenged. When the Grand Fleet moved, entire star systems surrendered without a fight. Admiral Kite watched the Grand Fleet gather on his screens. He smiled. They were doing exactly what he had expected. "Captain Bora," he said over the communication link. "Execute Phase 2. The human fleet split into 6 groups. They jumped to different sectors of Council space simultaneously. They moved so fast that the Council's tracking systems could not follow them. They hit military targets across a dozen different star systems in the same hour. Dr. Yunji's cyber weapons deployed across Council networks. Every military AI that the Council used suddenly stopped working. Decades of tactical programming corrupted in seconds. Council ships had to switch to manual control. Their reaction time dropped by 70%. The human ships were everywhere at once. They struck and vanished. Struck and vanished. The Council military tried to respond, but they were always one step behind. Their communications were jammed. Their sensors were blinded. Their weapons could not lock onto the human ships. Captain Bora led an attack on the Threxian Naval Academy. It was where the best officers in Council space learned their trade. She destroyed every training ship, every simulation pod, every weapon system. Then she broadcast Jiwoo's execution to every classroom. "Look at what your leaders allowed," she transmitted. "Look at what they called justice. We could kill you all, but we are not them. We are better than them." The attacks continued for 3 days. The Grand Fleet tried to catch the human ships. They failed every time. The humans were faster, smarter. Their technology was beyond anything the Council had ever seen. Ambassador Hyun Soo appeared in a broadcast that spread across the entire galaxy. He looked older than he had 3 months ago. His face was hollow. His eyes were empty, but his voice was steady. "My daughter's name was Jiwoo," he said. She was 16 years old. She liked taking pictures. She wanted to be a photographer and travel the galaxy. She made a mistake. She wandered somewhere she should not have been. She said she was sorry. She offered to delete the picture. She cried. She begged. "You killed her anyway," he paused. "The entire galaxy was watching. You called it justice. You said it was your law. You said you had the right. So now we show you our law, our justice, our right. You took everything from me, so we will take everything from you." The broadcast ended. The message was shared billions of times. Some aliens felt sympathy. Others felt anger. But all of them felt fear. The Grand Fleet finally caught up with a human strike force at a location called Nexus Gate. It was a major jump point between council sectors. The humans had been expected to avoid this area. Instead, they were waiting there. 800 council warships versus 12 human vessels. The odds were almost 70-1. The council commanders were confident. This was where they would crush the human rebellion. The Battle of Nexus Gate began at dawn local time. The council fleet moved in formation, thousands of years of tactical doctrine guiding their movements. They surrounded the human ships. They fired everything they had the human shields held. Not just held. They barely flickered. Then the humans fired back. Their weapons cut through council ships like knives through paper. The human vessels moved in ways that should not have been possible. They accelerated faster. They turned sharper. They acted like fighters instead of capital ships. Captain Bora's ship danced through the council formation. Her weapons targeted engines and life support. She disabled ships instead of destroying them when she could. But when council ships refused to surrender, when they kept firing even after they were crippled, she did what she had to do. The battle lasted 3 hours. When it was over, the Grand Fleet retreated. They had lost almost 500 ships. The human fleet had lost 2. 2 ships out of 12, the council could not believe it. They had thrown their best forces at the humans and been crushed. High Chancellor Morgan sat in his command center and stared at the casualty reports. So many dead, so many ships lost. All because of one girl. No, not because of the girl. Because they had killed her. Because they had called it justice. What have we done? Morgan whispered. The younger council members started talking about surrender. The older ones spoke of fighting to the last. But everyone understood now. The humans were not going to stop. They were not going to forgive. They were not going to forget. Admiral Kite addressed his fleet after the battle. We have shown them our strength. Now we show them our resolve. Every day they refuse to surrender. We take apart another piece of their military. We will not stop until they have nothing left to fight with. Captain Bora looked at the picture of Jiwoo she kept on her console. Her little cousin. Gone forever. The victory at Nexus Gate felt hollow. Every battle felt hollow, because no matter how many ships they destroyed, Jiwoo was still dead. But they would keep fighting anyway. They would keep fighting until the entire galaxy understood. You do not kill human children. You do not execute teenagers for taking photographs. You do not call murder justice and expect no consequences. The war would continue. 6 months had passed since Jiwoo died. The Galactic Council was falling apart. Trade between species had stopped. Nobody trusted anyone anymore. Member species pulled their fleets back to defend their own worlds. 3 smaller species had already left the Council completely. They offered peace treaties to Earth. Earth rejected every single one. There is no peace until justice is done, Prime Minister Sang-woo told them. No negotiation. No compromise. The war had spread across Council space like fire. Human strike teams hit military targets every day. They never attacked civilians. They never bombed cities. But they destroyed everything that could be used to fight. Shipyards, weapons factories, training facilities, supply depots. The Council's military strength dropped lower every week. High Chancellor Morgan tried to organize a defense, but the different species could not work together anymore. Some blamed the Valkyrians for starting this mess. Others blamed Morgan for not stopping Jiwoo's execution. Old grudges between species came back to the surface. The unity that had held the Council together for thousands of years was breaking. Morgan called for a final meeting with Earth. He sent messages on every channel. He offered to negotiate. He promised reforms. He begged for a chance to talk. Admiral Kite finally responded. His message was short. You may surrender. Here are the terms. Councillor Vexthar and everyone who voted to allow Jiwoo's execution will be given to human authority. The Galactic Council will be dissolved. Every species will reduce their militaries to defense-only forces. Human observers will monitor all of you. These are the only terms. Accept or we continue. The council chamber erupted in chaos when they heard the terms. Species representatives shouted at each other. Some called it humiliation. Others called it slavery. Many said they would rather die than accept such conditions. Morgan raised his massive limbs for silence. If we accept these terms, we become subjects. We become slaves to humanity. Our civilization has existed for 10,000 years. We will not end it by surrendering to a species that joined us only 3 years ago. The vote was taken. The Council refused Earth's terms. They would fight on. On Earth, The military command gathered to discuss the next phase. They had broken the Council's military power. They had proven human superiority, but the Council would not surrender. The war could continue for years. Millions more could die. Dr. Yunji stood before the military council with a presentation. "I have developed something new," she said. "We call it Operation Omega. It is a weapon that targets the quantum communication network that holds council space together. If we deploy it, every species will be cut off from each other. Their faster-than-light travel will stop working. Their communication systems will fail. They will be set back centuries. But it will not kill anyone directly." The room went silent. Admiral Kaite stared at the projection. "You are talking about destroying the foundation of their civilization." "Yes," Yunji said. She did not look happy about it. "It would end the war immediately. They would have no choice but to accept our terms. But it would also harm billions of innocent people who had nothing to do with Jiwoo's death." The debate lasted for hours. Captain Bora argued for using the weapon. "They killed Jiwoo and felt nothing. They need to understand loss the way we understand it. They need to hurt the way we hurt." Others disagreed. They said that destroying the Council's infrastructure would make Earth no better than those who had killed Jiwoo. The argument went in circles. Finally, Ambassador Hyun Soo entered the room. He had been silent for months. He had barely eaten. He barely slept. But now he walked to the center of the chamber and everyone fell quiet. "My daughter is dead," he said. His voice was rough but steady. "Every day I wake up and she is still dead. Every night I go to sleep and she is still dead. Nothing we do will change that. Not this weapon. Not destroying the Council. Not revenge. Nothing." He looked around at the faces watching him. Jiwoo believed that different species could work together. She believed in the goodness of people, human and alien. If we become monsters to defeat monsters, then what did she die for? What does her death mean? Tears ran down his face. "We have shown them our strength. We have shown them our rage. We have proven that humanity cannot be pushed. That is enough. That has to be enough. Because if we destroy their civilization, if we become the thing they feared we were, then Jiwoo died for nothing." The room was completely silent. Prime Minister Sang-woo stood slowly. "We will not deploy Operation Omega. We will continue conventional operations until the Council surrenders. But we will not become destroyers of civilizations," Captain Bora wanted to argue. She wanted to fight. But she looked at Hyun Soo's broken face and could not find the words. Something else happened while Earth debated. Inside the Council, a group of younger representatives from different species had been meeting in secret. They had watched the war with horror. They had seen their leaders refuse to admit mistakes. They had seen the Council choose pride over peace. These young representatives included species whose homeworlds had been attacked. But they had also seen the human restraint. They had seen how humans could have killed billions but chose not to. They started to believe that maybe the humans were right. Maybe the Council had become corrupt. Maybe it was time for change. The leader of this group was a Threxian named Ven. He had been friends with human scientists before the war. He had liked humans. He thought they were clever and strange and interesting. When Jiwoo was executed, he had voted against it. He had argued for mercy. He had been ignored. Now Ven and his group planned something dangerous. They planned a coup. It happened during a regular council session. Security guards loyal to the young representatives surrounded Councillor Vexithar and 17 other council members who had voted for Jiwoo's execution. They arrested them in front of everyone. High Chancellor Morgan tried to stop it, but half of the council security forces sided with the rebels. The other half did not know what to do. There was no fighting, no violence, just a transfer of power. Ven stood before the council and spoke. "For too long we have let fear and tradition guide us instead of justice and reason. A child died because we were too afraid to challenge old laws. Thousands more have died in the war that followed. This ends now." He turned to face the cameras broadcasting across the galaxy. "Humanity, we were cowards. We let our fear override our morality. We killed an innocent girl and called it justice. We offer you, the ones responsible, we offer you a chance to rebuild something better. Not a surrender. Not slavery, but a partnership. A real one, based on mutual respect." The transmission reached Earth within minutes. The military command watched in shock. Prime Minister Sang-woo called an emergency cabinet meeting. What should they do? Was this a trick? Could they trust the council now? Ambassador Hyun-soo spoke again. Let them stand trial. A real trial. With real justice. Show the galaxy that humanity is better than they were. The decision was made. The arrested council members would be tried in an international human court. The proceedings would be broadcast across all known space. It would be completely transparent. Both sides would present evidence. There would be a real verdict. The trial began 3 weeks later. It lasted for another 3 weeks. Lawyers from both human and alien species presented arguments. Evidence was shown. Witnesses testified. The entire galaxy watched. Counselor Vexthar showed no remorse. When asked if he regretted his decision, he said no. I followed our law. The human child violated sacred space. The punishment was death. I did what was right according to our ways. The prosecution showed footage of Jiwoo crying, begging, the footage of her father holding her body. They showed how poorly the sacred site was marked. How easily an innocent person could wander there by mistake. The defense argued cultural sovereignty. They said every species had the right to their own laws. They said humans had overreacted. They said the war was the real crime. After 3 weeks, the judges retired to consider their verdict. The whole galaxy waited. This moment would define the future. Would the humans show mercy? Or would they prove they were just as harsh as the council had been? The judges returned. Their verdict was guilty of murder. But the sentence shocked everyone. Life imprisonment, not execution. Life in prison for all 18 council members, the head judge explained. We do not execute to prove that execution is wrong. These individuals will spend the rest of their lives knowing that the species they called childish, emotional, and primitive showed them more mercy than they showed a 16-year-old girl who said she was sorry. Counselor Vexthar screamed as they took him away. He could not believe it. They had beaten him completely. His own people would remember him not as a hero, but as a monster who started a war that destroyed the council. Prime Minister Sang-woo addressed both Earth and what remained of the council. We did not want this war. We wanted to be partners in the galaxy. We wanted our children to grow up seeing the wonders of other worlds. You taught us that trust is dangerous, that kindness is weakness, that we must always be ready to defend ourselves. He paused. We have proven we can destroy you. Now we choose not to. But never forget this lesson. Never forget what happened when you killed one of ours. The galaxy has changed. We all changed it together. 2 years had passed since Jiwoo died. The galaxy looked different now. The Galactic Council did not exist anymore. In its place stood the Galactic Assembly. The name was different. The structure was different. But the biggest difference was Earth's position in it. Humans held veto power over any assembly decision. If Earth said no, it did not happen. Some alien species hated this. They called it tyranny. They said humans had used tragedy as an excuse to conquer the galaxy. Others accepted it. They understood that Earth had earned its position through strength and restraint. Admiral Kite had retired from active military service. He was 52 years old now. His hair was completely gray. He worked as an advisor to the Assembly's Security Council. Sometimes he missed commanding a fleet. Most days he was just tired. Captain Bora now commanded Earth's Rapid Response Fleet. It was the most powerful military force in known space. When problems arose when species violated the new laws, Bora's ships appeared to enforce compliance. She was fair but firm. Nobody wanted to see the remembrance appear in their orbit. Dr. Yoon-ji led the Assembly's Technology Sharing Division. She decided which human technologies would be shared with other species, and which would remain secret. It was delicate work. Give too much and Earth lost its advantage. Give too little and resentment would grow. She tried to find the balance. The new order was not popular everywhere. Resistance groups formed on several worlds. They called themselves freedom fighters. They attacked human facilities. They tried to sabotage human ships. They wanted the old council back. These resistance groups were always crushed quickly, but not by human forces. Other alien species did it themselves. They remembered what happened when Earth got angry. They remembered the war. Nobody wanted to give humans a reason to fight again. Prime Minister Sang-woo had won re-election easily. He was the leader who had guided Earth through its darkest time. He was the one who had shown both strength and mercy. People trusted him, but the job had aged him. He looked 10 years older than he was. He spent much of his time trying to repair relationships with alien species. building trust, creating partnerships. It was slow work. Some species would never forgive Earth for the war, but others, especially the younger generations, saw humans differently now. Ambassador Hyunsu had become a famous figure across the galaxy. He traveled constantly, speaking about loss and justice and healing. His speeches were studied in schools on dozens of worlds. Young aliens learned about the human who had lost everything but chose forgiveness over revenge. He never returned to the council station. Even though it had been rebuilt, even though it was now called Unity Station and served as the Assembly's headquarters, he could not go there. Too many memories, too much pain. He still had not visited Jiwoo's grave. People asked him why. He always said the same thing. I am not ready yet. Maybe I never will be. She's not there anyway. She is in my memory, in my heart. That is where I visit her every day. Human culture spread through the galaxy in ways nobody expected. Not through force, through curiosity. Young aliens wanted to understand the species that had defeated the Council. They studied human history, human art, human music, human food. Earth's cultural exports grew more valuable than its military technology. Alien students applied to study at human universities. Alien artists came to Earth seeking inspiration. Alien tourists wanted to see the homeworld of the species that had changed everything. Some humans worried about this. They said Earth was losing its identity, that humans were becoming too influential, that they should step back and let other species lead. Prime Minister Sang-woo addressed these concerns in a speech. We did not ask for this responsibility, he said. It was forced upon us by tragedy. But now we have it. We can either embrace it or run from it. I choose to embrace it. Not with arrogance, not with cruelty, but with the same values Jiwoo believed in. Curiosity, kindness, hope for something better. On the moon of Apex Prime, where the old council station had once stood, there was now a memorial. It was simple but powerful. At the center stood a statue of Jiwoo. She was holding her camera. She was smiling. The sculptor had captured the moment just before everything went wrong. The moment when she was still just a curious teenager exploring something beautiful. Around the statue were walls carved with names. Every human who died in the war, every alien who died in the war. Thousands of names, all of them there because of one terrible decision. The inscription was written in every known language. She was curious. She was kind. She was 16. Remember what her death cost us all? Beings from across the galaxy visited the memorial. Some left flowers. Some left notes. Some just stood there in silence. Human veterans came and cried. Alien students came and learned. Everyone who saw it understood. War had a price. Injustice had consequences. In a prison on a remote human colony, Counselor Vexthar lived out his sentence. He had one small cell. He could read books. He could exercise in a yard. He could receive visitors, though none ever came. He would spend the rest of his life there. Decades, probably. Maybe centuries if human medical technology kept him alive. He never admitted he was wrong. Even after everything that happened. Even after his people rejected him. Even after his own government officially apologized for what he had done. He still believed he had followed his law. That he had done his duty. The guards said he talked to himself sometimes. That he argued with ghosts. That he reenacted the judgment of Jiwoo over and over, trying to find a way to justify it. He had broken in a way that could never be fixed. 50 years after the war, Admiral Kite was invited to speak at the Joint Defense Academy. It was a new school where humans and aliens trained together to become military officers. The idea would have been impossible before the war. Now it was normal. He was old now. Over 100 years old. Medical technology kept him alive and mostly healthy, but he felt every year. He walked slowly to the podium and looked out at the cadets. Humans and aliens sitting together, learning together. Some of them would become friends, maybe more than friends. The future was happening right in front of him. A young human cadet raised her hand. Sir, there is a question we all want to ask. Was Earth's response to Jiwoo's death proportionate? Was it right? Kite had been asked this question hundreds of times over the years. He still did not have a perfect answer. Proportionate? No, a 16-year-old girl took a photograph and died for it. We destroyed the most powerful civilization in the galaxy in response. Those things are not equal, he paused. But was it right? I cannot answer that. I can only tell you what we did and why we did it. We showed the galaxy that humans protect their own, that we will not accept injustice just because someone calls it law, that we have the strength to destroy and the wisdom to show mercy. He looked at the alien cadets. Every species in this room is here because when pushed to our absolute limit, humanity chose precision over genocide. We chose restraint over revenge. We could have killed billions. We chose not to. That choice defines us more than the war itself. An alien cadet spoke up. She was Valkyrian, young, probably born after the war. My people are taught that Counselor Vexthar was a criminal who brought shame to us all. We learn about Jiwoo in school, about what he did to her. I just want you to know that we are sorry. So many of us are sorry. Kite nodded slowly. I know, thank you. The class ended. The cadets filed out. Some of them would go on to serve together, to fight together, to defend the new order that had been built on the ashes of the old. That night, Kite stood on a balcony and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was turning. Billions of humans were living their lives. Most of them had not even been born when the war happened. To them, it was just history, just something they learned about in school, but Kaitai remembered. He remembered the rage, the fear, the desperate need to make them understand. He remembered every ship that burned, every person who died. He remembered all of it. He also remembered the moment they chose mercy. The moment they could have deployed Operation Omega and set the Council back 1,000 years. The moment Ambassador Hyun-soo spoke about his daughter's beliefs. The moment humanity proved it was better than its worst impulses. That was the moment that mattered. Not the battles. Not the victories. That single moment when they chose not to destroy everything. On Earth, Ambassador Hyun-soo finally went to visit his daughter's grave. It had been 52 years. He was an old man now. He walked slowly through the cemetery until he found the simple marker. Jiwoo, beloved daughter. She saw beauty in everything. He knelt down carefully. His knees hurt. Everything hurt. I am sorry it took me so long, he said quietly. I was not ready before. I am not sure I am ready now. But I wanted to tell you something. He touched the stone. They remember you. All of them, humans, aliens, everyone. You changed the galaxy. Not because you meant to. Not because you wanted to. But because of who you were. Curious, kind, innocent. Tears ran down his old face. I miss you every day. Every single day. But I want you to know that something good came from the bad. The galaxy is better now, safer, more just. Because of you. Because of what your death taught us all. He stood up slowly. He looked at the sky. Somewhere up there in stations and ships and distant worlds,